The observation deck of the stellar cradle hummed with the soft vibration of its engines, a lullaby that had become familiar to Arya over the past 6 months. She sat cross-legged on the cold metal floor, her worn jacket spread beneath her, watching the viewport display the endless tapestry of stars. Her body ached with exhaustion, but she wouldn't rest. Not yet. Behind her, huddled in the corner of the cramped cargo bay that doubled as their living quarters, 4 small figures shifted restlessly. Their chittering voices had fallen silent an hour ago, replaced by an anxious quiet that made Arya's chest tighten. The Kashari cubs, refugees from a world that no longer existed, refused to sleep. Arya had tried everything. She'd sung them the lullabies her grandmother had taught her, though the cubs couldn't understand the words. She'd adjusted the temperature controls 3 times, dimmed the lights to near darkness, and even replicated the scent markers their parents would have left. Nothing worked. The moment she tried to leave them, to catch even an hour of rest in the adjacent crew quarters, their distressed calls would pierce the air. "You need to sleep, Arya," Captain Theron had told her that morning, his scaled face creased with concern. "You're no good to them if you collapse," but how could she explain? These weren't just any cubs. They were the last of their kind that anyone knew of. When the Devourers had swept through the Kashari home system, the evacuation had been chaos. Arya had been a xenobiologist on a research station, studying their complex social structures. She'd grabbed these 4 cubs from a creche as the station fell apart around her, not knowing if any adults had survived. That was 6 months ago. 6 months of keeping them alive on emergency rations, learning their dietary needs through trial and error, teaching them to trust her alien presence. 6 months of being the only parent figure they had left. Rock stirred first, as he always did. The smallest of the 4 cubs, his fur a deep amber that seemed to glow in the dim light, he had been the first to accept Arya's touch. Now he crept forward on silent paws, his 6 legs moving with the natural grace of his species, his large, luminous eyes fixed on Arya with an intensity that made her breath catch. "Hey, little one," she whispered, extending her hand slowly. "You should be sleeping." Rock made a sound, a soft trill that meant sadness in Kashari communication. He pressed his broad head against her palm, and Arya felt the slight tremor running through his small body. He was afraid. They all were. The others watched from the shadows, Senna, the eldest female, Keth and Mira, the twins who'd been inseparable since birth. Their eyes reflected the starlight like tiny moons, unblinking and vigilant. Arya's scientific mind understood what was happening. Kashari were pack creatures, evolved in the dense jungles of their homeworld where predators hunted in the dark. Their young never slept alone. In the wild, adults would form protective circles around the cubs, their warm bodies providing both comfort and security. The cubs' instincts screamed at them that sleeping without that protection meant death, but there was only Arya. One human, not a Kashari adult. Her body couldn't wrap around all 4 of them. She didn't have the right scent, the right warmth, the right everything. Yet somehow she was all they had. "I know," Arya murmured, stroking Rock's soft fur. "I know you're scared." "I'm scared too." It was the first time she'd admitted it aloud, scared that she'd fail them, scared that she didn't know enough, wasn't enough, scared that one day she'd wake up and find that her best hadn't been good enough to keep them alive. Rock chirped softly and climbed into her lap, circling once before settling against her stomach. His warmth seeped through her thin shirt, and despite her exhaustion, Arya smiled. Slowly, tentatively, Senna emerged from the shadows. Then Keth, then Mira. One by one, they arranged themselves around her, Rock against her front, Senna pressed against her back, the twins curled on either side. Their combined weight pressed her down, and Arya carefully shifted, lowering herself to lie on her side on the hard floor. The cubs adjusted with her, maintaining their contact, their small bodies forming a living cocoon around her human frame. This was why she couldn't leave them. This was why she couldn't sleep in the comfortable crew quarters while they huddled alone in the cargo bay. They didn't need her to be Kashari. They needed her to be there. Arya felt the change ripple through them the moment she closed her eyes. The tension in their small bodies began to ease. Their breathing slowed, synchronized. Rock's purring started first, a rumbling vibration that the others picked up, until the sound surrounded her like a heartbeat. They had been waiting for her. Not waiting for her to solve their fear or take it away, but waiting for her to share it, to be vulnerable with them, to show them that rest was safe because she trusted them enough to rest too. In the cold metal heart of a refugee ship, surrounded by the wreckage of a civilization, Arya finally understood the gift humanity could offer. Not superior technology or greater strength, but the stubborn refusal to let anyone face the darkness alone. The willingness to lie down on a hard floor and be uncomfortable. To be tired and scared and mortal, but together, Rock shifted, tucking his head under Arya's chin, and she felt hot tears slide down her cheeks. "I've got you," she whispered into his fur. "I've got all of you." The cub's purring grew louder, a sound of contentment and safety that filled the cargo bay, and finally they all slept.